on what happened with Dillian Whyte not showing up for the Fury fight at the news conference?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things behind that, and it's very easy just to hear from Tyson Fury, who talks so much shit. I mean, he said today that I told Dillian Whyte not to. It's absolute rubbish. There's all kinds of things to resolve about that fight. One of Dillian Whyte's requests was that the funds be placed in escrow. It's a lot of money. And some people want to buy a Rolls Royce, but they can't afford to fill it up with petrol. So they also wanted Dillian Whyte to fly in on a economy, a coach airline, like a low-fare airline from Portugal that was 2 hours in. And we're in a global pandemic still, and he's thinking, I've been waiting so long for this opportunity, and people might think that a private jet is an illustrious ask. Not when you bid $42 million for a fight, it's not. Also, they wanted to give him a handful of tickets for the fight, I think 6 or something like that. It's a 90,000 stadium. So Dillian Whyte felt that he was being disrespected. So he said, I'll tell you what, you crack on, I'm just going to keep training. So it's as simple as that, really.
Those are the words of Eddie Hearn as he explained some of the things that I sat down with Dean. Shouts out to Dean White. He came on. We did an exclusive interview yesterday, and he talked about some of those things, some things he couldn't talk about. Well, these are enlightening things that I didn't know. Also, I knew about the jet, or should I say the plane that they wanted to put him on, but I did not know about the money that he wanted to be put in escrow. Okay, that protects the fighter and that guarantees that money being there because it's in an account secured versus saying that it's there and it's not anywhere. That's a totally different thing. I know that from experience. When something's not in escrow, it's not secured versus what a piece of paper saying that you're going to have versus what you know you're going to get. You know what you're going to get based on it being in a particular account that nobody can touch but yourself or your lawyers or your handlers. So I do understand that. If they didn't want to do that, well, what the hell? And then talking about riding Rolls Royces, right? And bidding $42 million, it's like, you couldn't do this. And like I told Dean, like, that's kind of weird because it's like you bid all this money. It makes me think that maybe they're getting tight on that money because they made such a great sacrifice. Well, if that's the case, you shouldn't have made that big of a purse bid if you can't do these simple fucking things that the other fighter, the bankable fighter in the UK requests. Okay? And let's talk about the jet for a second. Or should I say the plane? It is COVID. COVID's still here, people. Okay, let's stop pretending this shit's over. It's not over. It's not as bad as it was when it started. No, it has different variants, and different variants, are affecting people different ways. Naturally. But it's like you want a guy that's a part of an event, worth millions of dollars, to put him on a fucking coach plane with all these other possible people that could possibly have fucking COVID. That's not smart. Versus him wanting a jet. Now you see. Now, if it was a regular time like before 2019, okay, then that's understandable. Put him on a jet, bring him in. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But then there are things in the air now. People with illnesses. People that have this contagious variant, right, that could get you sick. And if he tests positive, what you think is going to happen? There won't be a fucking fight. Ask Tyson Fury about that, right? Okay, it will be prolonged and it will cost more money to change the date, to change the venue, to do all these particular things. So why would you risk that versus getting that man in with him and his crew, getting them tested, because I'm assuming they're still testing these fighters, right? Right? And bringing them by themselves so they won't have to worry about other people or kids and shit that is walking around with Omicron picking up shit. Like today, I seen a kid on the plane. He picked it up, put it in his mouth, and put it right back down somewhere else. Somebody picked that up. If that kid had COVID, boom, then that other person could possibly have COVID. You know what I mean? Like, that's how easy it is for you to get sick. Okay, so I do understand that. I understand that wholeheartedly. Now, as far as the tickets, I'm not sure on the protocol on how much tickets or how many tickets that fighters receive. You know what I mean? I remember Manny Pacquiao bought a lot of tickets for his, entourage and shit, but he bought them. I don't know how many that he received free, so I don't know. So I'm not even going to go there because I don't know too much about how much they would give him or give them. But those are some of the things that he talks about. Now, Eddie Hearn says, well, Tyson Fury was talking so much shit. He was talking so much shit because there was no one else to talk shit to. But Eddie was pissed off, though, honestly, because he was saying that, the narrative was, well, Eddie Hearn probably told him. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say probably Eddie Hearn probably was like, hey, I think you should do this. But then again, he lost the purse bid. So it's like, okay, dude, he's worried about AJ. He's worried about Canelo. He's worried about other fighters. He's not necessarily worried about a fighter that he lost the purse bid to, and that's someone else's job. So think about Eddie Hearn for a second. Do you guys remember last year when he did all that flying around and making these connects and going to Saudi Arabia and all that shit, and everybody said he was full of shit, he didn't do this, couldn't make that? You guys remember that? Bob Arum, he's not gonna do it, he doesn't have the experience, that type of shit. And Frank Warren, well, I don't think that he's doing what he's supposed to do. He said last week and Leslie never came. That type shit. Okay. Then Tyson Fury finds out that, Eddie Hearn did make good on his word because he talked to Prince Khalid, right? And the money was there. Then he made this big ass announcement that never fucking happened, right? Because the very next day, an arbitration ruling come in, go figure, right? That the fight is off and he has to fight Deontay Wilder. So that makes any promoter bitter and working how long? 4 or 5 months? It was 4 or 5, maybe even 6, that he did that by himself. So guess what? Dillian Whyte didn't show up. Eddie Hearn is probably remembering that and saying to himself, you know what? You guys bid all this fucking money for it, and you couldn't even bring this man on a jet, something that I would have never fucking done or even would have stopped from doing for Tyson Fury. So I'm going to let you guys handle it. So I think that's exactly what's happening with Eddie Hearn, as far as Dillian Whyte goes. Dillian Whyte felt disrespected, and if anybody feels disrespected, you're not going to go. Okay, I'm on a show, and then I'm feeling that they're not accommodating me. You know what? Fuck it. I'm not coming. Or you guess what? I'm not going to do every nick and cranny that you guys want me to do. I'm going to show up to get my paycheck, and that's exactly what Dillian Whyte is doing. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn and his statements about Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, and Bob Arum. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.